welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you here. First live podcast, guys. We are in a studio. We're doing this live, so bear with any technical glitches. I'm going to start off with a really fun question, which I believe everybody in the world has a superpower. So if I was to ask you, what would be yours?
Oh, I love this question. My superpower, I think, is going to be connecting with people. And that starts by listening as well, listening to people and then responding with an emotion, with a story and then connecting with people. That's my superpower.
I love that. That's a great superpower.
Thank you.
And so tell us a little bit about your origin story, because I know from what you've told me and also from what you've shared as well, because you're a big sharer. Oh my gosh, on LinkedIn, you really go and let everybody know the deepest, darkest. This is how hard it is. And you did Fashionably Skinned, which was your first, I would say, baby business. That was your baby. You got 150k investment. You spent 3 years hustling with this one, and then to find that this actually requires usually a very big glass of wine for us to tell the story a bit. So, ladies and gents, grab your glass of wine and buckle in.
Yeah, grab it. I wish I could join you. Gosh, what happened there? I mean, that is a big story and a really messy one, actually, a really emotional one. But so I had the idea for Fashionably Skin. Gosh, when I was like 22, 21, I'd just come out of uni. I was skint. Like, I mean, like everyone is when they come out of uni. Well, not everyone, but most people, especially people who had to fund it themselves and have a part-time job to support them through and all that kind of stuff, which was my story. And I had this idea to create an app that would track who out of my friends were borrowing and like, borrowing my clothes but never giving them back, because that really annoyed me. I was like, who's got my belt? Who's got my dress that I wore the other week? Like, who's got my skirt? Who's got my shoes? So that was kind of where the concept came from. And this is like in the early stages when Depop came about and Vinted. So yeah, it was and in the early stages of people banging the drum around sustainability, and I really cared about. And when I did a lot of research into it, I was just like, there's so many clothes going into landfill, and like it's damaging the planet. It's literally killing the planet. Like, what can we do? Like, what can I do to reduce the amount of clothes in landfill and keep fashion into circulation for longer? So I came up with this idea. It was actually originally called Pink Mothballs. My nan thought I sold pink mothballs, and I definitely didn't. So that was a little debate that we had there. And I did take it to market, the sort of first sort of beta version of the app, but it completely flopped and fell on its face. The reason being because I was telling the wrong story to the wrong people. So you start to see now how the connection between that's how it's led to me like being so fascinated with the stories that we tell on a business and personal level, and how that connects to the things that we're making for each other. But yeah, that was a big lesson and big learning. So I had to go back to the drawing board and think, okay, well, firstly, who really are my audience? Who needs this? Who wants this? And who's going to care about this business as much as I do? Because I cared so deeply and I was so desperate for it to succeed. I was pumping all my savings into it, all my savings that I was actually saving for a house. So I ended up living at my mum's for longer because I was like, no, I care about this. Like, this needs to work because I believe in it so much. I believe it needs to exist. And it's going to make a positive difference, not just on people's lives, but on the planet too. I worked part-time in Vodafone to help me, again, fund it, but also pay my mum a bit of money just for rent and things like that, because I didn't want to leave her, She was helping me out through and through, and I'm very blessed and privileged to have been able to stay at home while I did all of this stuff. And then, worked part-time in Vodafone, and one of the customers, so I always made an effort to talk to every single person about my business. And one time I did that, it was an investor, it was a VC, someone that owned like a fund, and they just invested in another company very similar, and they basically messaged me, emailed me a week later, because I always used to put like my business cards in the bags. Brilliant. So I was like, who are you buying this phone for? Oh, it's your daughter. Oh, great. I know an app for that. I know an app she will absolutely love. Brilliant. So yeah, that's where the hustle. We got hustle, in the early days. That is a good hustle, right? Yeah. So that's what I did. And anyway, long story short, they ended up investing. They loved the idea so much. They ended up investing 150,000. And that's when we sort of pivoted, relaunched as Fashionably Skin, because Pink Mothballs wasn't really resonating. It wasn't really clicking. I think it was a bit, who talks about mothballs these days? No one. Yeah. Pink was to make it sound a little bit quirky, but nah, it wasn't working. And then we pivoted the whole business to connect with students. and we created like this virtual currency mechanism. So instead of like people just borrow lending clothes, it was actually swapping, selling, buying, all that kind of stuff, but also through this own virtual currency that you get through the app, that you can collect up all your talks and things like that. So anyway, I could go on and on about that, but getting to the point where it all fell apart. It was 2 weeks before we were relaunching as Fashionably Skin with all of this new tech, with all of this. I was up and down the country doing deals with Misguided and ASOS, like, come on, let's find a way to like keep your clothes, fast fashion, out of landfill for longer and keep them in circulation. And they were really buying into my pitch. And what happened was in the boardroom meeting before, literally 2 weeks before we were going to launch, my investment manager fell out with my tech developers over the contract that we had. So we outsourced our tech and we had a contract for like revenue share off the back of the launch, because we couldn't afford like to do the tech all up front. We needed to keep some money for like marketing and things like that. And yeah, they fell out with each other, like big sort of argument in the boardroom meeting. My investment manager walked out, and then 2 days later gave me a phone call. I was standing in the middle of the town centre in Reading, was just like, yeah, we can't, we're pulling the plug on the investment, and left me to, yeah, just basically, I remember just standing outside Marks and Spencer's and in Reading town centre, and I was just like,
What?
okay. I remember crying. Like, I remember kind of like that moment of what just happened? What was that conversation? Put in 4 years of my whole, not just my life, my heart, my soul, my energy, my spirit, my like I gave it everything, and for it to just be completely just gone just like that. It was really, really hard.
Just pulled the plug. And it wasn't anything you did. And it wasn't even about your idea. It was about...
It wasn't about the idea. Oh my gosh.
It was
everything.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel for you. That's so harsh.
Yeah. Oh. It was harsh. It was really harsh, but it happens. It does happen in business. It does happen a lot. And, I did go into that whole kind of moment of Amanda, like, who am I now? I was Amanda, founder of Fashionably Skin for 4 years of my life. And then I'm Amanda ... like, who am I? And again, that's how I started connecting with, okay, my story. What does this part of my story, that chapter of my story mean for Amanda? Chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Because it always connects, and there's always, lessons and learnings that you can carry forward. But it's about doing the work to listen, like get to know yourself, listen, and really connect with those stories. Like most of us don't do that work. And I was one of those people. But that work is literally vital for growth, and vital to live authentically.
There is so much in not only your story, but also knowing that you need to have some empathy for yourself, which is going to be our next chapter that we talked about. But it's absolutely critical that you realise that you didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't that you had a bad idea. And it wasn't that it wasn't going to work. It was other external factors outside of your control. They could be anything. That are just going to change your path. That doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. There's positives that's taken you on your journey, that's made you the person you are today. And I think it's brilliant that you could see that there was a great another chapter, and you didn't let that beat you or defeat you, and it was just like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's something that I love about myself. I love that I can just get up and be like, don't get me wrong, there was definitely a few weeks of just like, oh my God, like, just feeling really, really sorry for myself and crying and thinking like my life is over for a little bit, but that's temporary. And yeah, I'm very proud of myself for always having the ability to get back up, dust myself off, and go again. Because I mean, gosh, we only got one life, man. We got to go for it.
Absolutely. And so you vowed to then move forward and help people tell their stories.
I did, and I'm so. Do you know what? I always thought, oh yeah, my calling is like working in this fashion industry, like sustainable fashion, like for a long time I thought that was my thing and that was my calling, and it was, but actually. One big lesson that I'm learning and still learning today is that, you don't, it's very rarely that the first business will work, like very rare. The ones that do, I mean, good, like fair play. But personally, for many entrepreneurs, many business owners, the first business doesn't always work. But what that does do is it gives you a springboard into your next. And that's something that, I'm so grateful for the opportunities and the people that believed in me at that point in my journey. Because again, like, it's not just me believing in myself, it's people believing in me that gave me the belief to believe in myself, So that was wonderful. And also the network, the people that, backed me, and I had so many people that were willing to, like, support me and help me after that experience, and kind of,
I love it.
encouraged me.
And I love that and one of your many things that you say is that you want to tell stories that give people goosebumps. And I absolutely love that. So I want to hear from you. What is the story that sticks out in your mind that you've told, your own or someone else's, that gives you the goosebumps?
Do you know what? The stories that give me goosebumps are mainly about people who are really going for it and achieving greatness. I think I think the stories that give not just me, like us, goosebumps are the human stories of people who are overcoming challenges and struggle and pain and grief, and turning all of this negative and hard stuff into positive things and using that to sort of fuel them forward. And I guess from a personal perspective, like, as you said, I'm definitely an oversharer, and I'm a proud oversharer, and I will continue to overshare for the rest of my life, because I actually think it's inspiring to. I mean, I do. I mean, people don't want to hear it. Like, you don't have to hear it. Just
the amount of
go
followers
away.
you have, I think lots of people want to hear it.
So, thank you. I'm again very blessed that I have amazing people who like what I say. Like, that's good. I must be doing something right. But yeah, I mean, I guess one of the stories I shared quite recently was my fear around being a mother one day. Yeah. And I've been very open about that. I actually shared a post on LinkedIn about that today again as well. And I think it's really important to share our fears and share our struggles and share the things that really hurt us, because what that does is it invites people to share their story, because they're like, oh gosh, like, when we share our stories of grief, pain and struggle, what we do is we create a brave space for people to show up and feel comfortable sharing theirs. And that's the power of not just like connecting with our story and knowing it, of telling our story. Because actually, to tell your story, you have to do those two layers first. You have to connect with it and create that space to do that. And then you know it and feel confident with it. And then you can start telling it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a really big thing in getting good at telling your story. Mm-hmm. Getting good at telling a pitch. It could be, selling your products or whatever it is. I mean, I think there's a real myth out there about selling being bad and selling being a bad thing. If you can't sell, you haven't got a business. I mean, end of. You have to be able to sell. And one of the best ways to sell is to not be doing icky sales, but just telling a really great story. Yeah. And obviously you do that absolutely brilliantly, and you do that around the product. And talking about products without talking about their features and their benefits to the point of death by PowerPoint, what are the secrets or what are the myths you need to bust out there when you talk about the product side of things and telling great stories?
The myths you need to bust. I mean, I've worked with so many business leaders who are just like, they just want to bang on about the next feature and the function and all that kind of stuff and how their product works. And that is important, but I think it comes down to talk about the product, but talk about it once you know your empathy story. And that's why the 5 stories exist, because it helps people and businesses to understand how the story breaks down into these 5 stories. So I think product story is, and it's actually a story that it's the easiest one to tell. It's just like what I do. Well, hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a storytelling expert. Well, I work at a company called 5 Stories. When you meet someone on a personal level, like you go in about, it's like, well, what do you do? Gosh, can you just ask a bit more of a meaningful question? Like, who inspired you growing up? Like, tell me about the challenges that you've been facing recently. Like, how are you feeling about ... just stuff like that, like real meaningful stuff. I think I've kind of gone off on one there, but bring it back to the product. I tend to do that. Bringing it back to the product story, I don't know if there's any, I'm not really connected with the whole, is there any myths that we need to bust? But I do think that to tell a really compelling product story that really resonates, like, the first thing you need to do is understand who your customers are, who your audience are, how they're feeling, why they're feeling that way. And then you can show up and say, hey, we've made this for you. This is why we've made this for you. Because actually your empathy story starts first. And then that connects into, oh, hi, this is why we exist. And then also this is what we've made for you. That's the product. So again, just breaking it down, keeping it simple. Doesn't need to be complicated, man.
getting it. And the next part, obviously, is the vision story and where you're going to talk about the better future you're going to build. And I love that. Top tips for anyone wanting to think about their vision story. Because vision can sometimes be the really difficult part of, not for most entrepreneurs, they're like, yeah, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, I'm really clear. But perhaps, maybe they don't feel their vision is big enough, or maybe they don't feel that they're going to, cure cancer like Marie Curie. Okay. But at the end of the day, they're still doing important work. There's a reason, there's a need for why they get up in the morning, why they do what they do.
100%.
So how do you communicate that vision story in a really, your top tips for the compelling way to do
The compelling way. I think first tip, it needs to come from the heart.
Yeah, good one.
I think a vision story, a true, authentic vision story has to come from the heart. So it can't be this made up BS, that's just like, we want to change the world. Blah, blah, blah. It needs to be, it needs to be something that you believe as the person telling the story. And it needs to be something that your audience believes. So again, coming back to the empathy story, and actually, I think a great vision story actually starts with the audience, the people you're creating this future with and for. You're on a journey with them. Seeing the vision story as this is where we're going, and hey, come with us. You want to come with us? That's the most powerful one. And to create a vision story like that, you have to listen to your audience, aka empathy, because empathy is all about listening. That is the key practical thing to actually nail an empathy story. Listen, and then once you hear their vision for the future and where they want to get to and where they want to be and what they want to be a part of, that's when you start crafting and shaping your vision story to make sure that it's on the same page with theirs. That's how you create the most powerful one, I believe.
Love it. And I suppose when you're an expert in your craft, just like you are in terms of telling stories, we're always on a learning journey, right? We're always trying to improve, we're always trying to be better.
Yeah.
So what are the most interesting things you've learned as you've gone on this journey to become an expert storyteller?
Oh gosh. Your gut knows everything. Again, trust your gut, trust your heart, listen to your heart, listen to your gut. Your head's going to tell you lots of different things, and a lot of the time it's all around vanity stuff and following trends and things like that. I think what I'm learning every day is that telling your story, whether that's your personal story or the story around your business or something that you're creating for other people, whatever you've made or you're creating or working on, there's a story around it, right? It's not a one-time thing. It's a practice. It's a lifelong commitment to get it right, to do it right, for it to really ultimately, truly and deeply connect with others and you as well, and be as authentic as it possibly can be. That word as well is thrown around a lot, but authenticity comes from knowing your story and telling it in a real, raw and relatable way. Definitely. It's a practice, man. It's a practice and it's a lifelong commitment, which is why, again, the 5 stories exist, because it gives people a map back to who they are and why they belong here. It gives businesses a map back to who they are and what they stand for. It's a map back to our story, and that's why it ultimately exists, and that's what I use it for every single day in my personal life and my business life.
So what do you wish you'd known before you started out with 5 stories?
And nothing ever goes to plan. Nothing ever goes to plan, especially in life, let alone business. Yeah, I think if I knew that sooner, then I could probably have relaxed a little bit, because I think as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you're constantly seeing the vision and you're constantly battling with how much money have I got and how much time have I got to create that vision and make it happen, and resource have I got, I
think everyone thinks it all happens overnight. And you go into it going, well, everyone else has had success overnight. I'm going to be the next big success. And actually, you are a success, but it's a marathon. It is absolutely not going to happen.
Gosh, you need some good trainers.
But
don't you also think, for me personally, my whole outlook on my 20s, I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire by 30. I'm going to be Forbes 30 under 30. I'm going to have a business that is going to be everywhere. It's going to be the world's most popular, talked about platform for borrow, lending, and swapping clothes. Depop who? Vinted who? Fashion Skip what? That was me back then. And then, it all just went to shit. As it does a lot. But yeah, and then I got into my 30s and it was just very much okay, cool. Why am I doing this? What do I actually want out of life? More importantly, what do I want my life to feel like? Because that's a question you don't ask in your 20s. You just go, 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 go. You hustle, you hustle, you hustle, you hustle. And then you burn out and flop on the floor and you're just oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now I'm dying.
Yes.
You know, like it's hard, and that's the kind of mindset. And I'm still seeing it today, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, look, hustling is important, right? It's important because hustle comes from a passion and comes from this kind of this urge and this determination you have to create something and make something amazing for people. I believe that passion fuels hustle. But I think there's a way to do it differently. You need to do it with consciously. You know, there's a conscious hustle and there's a burnout hustle. You can go that way or that way. I think in the early days of starting a business, you go down this road of burning out hustle. Like you just do stuff without question. You don't think about things. You're just like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, yeah, where am I? Like, how did I get here? And actually, this wasn't where we were meant to go. You do things without actually making sure that you're on the same page with your audience. I did that a lot, like massively, and learned the hard way that that is not the way to go. But in my 30s, a lot of the time, like my question became more about, okay, well, how do I want my life to feel? And why am I doing this? I see 5stories not as a business that's going to be sold and, you know, whatever. I don't want that. It's for me, it's a legacy, and it's something that I can pass down. You know, that I'm going to have books that are going to be here when I'm not here, and people can use this methodology when, you know, to help them tell their story. It's a universal thing, you know, it's going to be here forever.
So I pick up on you're writing a book there, or is that in the plan?
That is in the plan, yes. It's been in the plan for a long time. It's just having, again, money, time.
Yeah, headspace a little bit.
Money, time, headspace. Prioritizing, right?
Yeah.
The TED Talk took a lot of my energy, a lot of my time. But now I've got some space I can, and also that was a really great exercise to get clarity around, okay, what is my book? I'm actually going to be launching 2.
Amazing.
Yeah, so.
You heard it here first, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
yeah.
Love it. So I'm going to jump into just maybe some of the best resources that you've seen, used. Like, what would you recommend in terms of helping people build better stories, and any bonus takeaways you could give us?
Have conversations with people. I think the best way to tell stories and create better stories is to actually get out there and communicate with people and talk to people and listen. I love going in coffee shops and listening to people's conversations and how people tell stories. I love that. I think in terms of like books and things like that, I mean, back in the day, I read quite a lot of the kind of business books. Now I read more of the books and listen to podcasts that are more about how to be human, how to be better communicators, how to be a better human being by caring and being kind to people, you know?
Yeah.
That's more me. So yeah.
I hear that. Any top recommendations you'd give?
I adore the podcast On Being. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. And also I end up, the way I buy books is not just by going out and buying, unless it's been recommended to me. I tend to listen to the author talk about why they've created this book and their story, and then I'll go and buy the book. I like to hear voice. I am reading a couple of books, but I have a confession to make. Like, I am a rubbish reader in terms of books. I find it really hard to stick on a book unless it's a really, really good book, or unless I'm reading it with my husband, because we have our own little book club.
Nice.
So we do our own little book club, but he tends to read, and he's like, but you're the storyteller, you should read. I'm like, nah. It's nice for you to read, babe. But yeah, On Being in terms of a podcast, and a book that I've just finished reading, Unbound by Tarana Burke, a founder of the Me Too movement. Her story is absolutely like amazing. You'll definitely throw that book across the room.
Did you get the goosebumps?
Oh my gosh, there's like endless amount of goosebump moments in that book.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Great
definitely recommend
reference
it. Yeah.
Amazing. If you had to give 1 to maybe 2, even to go stretch it to 3 kind of pieces of advice to people who are wanting to be a super connector like you are, what advice would you give them to help them really do it better?
Gosh, to do it better, it starts with connecting to your story first. Like that's how you connect with people, by connecting to your story first, by really knowing who you are, why you're here, what you believe, what you care about, the story, the journey you've been on, and how that creates your story. I think that's the first thing people need to do, is connect with their story, know their story, so they can tell their story to people, and then that's ultimately how you connect with people. I mean, it's that simple, I think.
I think the best things in life are simple.
They are.
It doesn't need to be complicated.
But everyone does complicate it. Like, that's the thing that drives me crazy. Like, all these books out there on storytelling, on connect to people, I don't know what all their names are, but they all bang on about these frameworks which just make it overcomplicated. and it actually pushes us further away from ourselves and each other. And that's something that, drives me nuts. Not gonna lie.
I agree. And I think we have to talk about the fact that you've just done a TED Talk.
Oh,
That's a pretty big milestone in the world of being an entrepreneur.
It really is.
What story did you tell?
Wow, do you know what? The funny thing is, everyone who I spoke on that stage, who went on that stage as well at TEDx, so it was TEDx and Shoreditch, the whole theme was how to be true to who you are, which was bang on.
Bang on for you.
Oh my gosh, like absolutely bang on. And I feel so blessed that that's the theme. So I was like, oh yeah, like this is definitely, this is my vibe, man. This is my vibe. This is my jam. So I kind of came at it from a story perspective, of course, 5 stories. How can you be true to who you are? By connecting with your story and telling it in 5 stories. But everybody else who spoke on that stage as well, they really went into their own story. Whereas I actually didn't feel like, and I did write so many drafts. Oh my gosh, I probably wrote about 30 plus drafts of this TEDx talk and ripped so many up and started again and ripped more up and then started again. I was just in this puddle of like, oh my God, who am I? And what do I say on this stage? Anyway, I definitely went down the rabbit holes with it. But the final talk, it wasn't so much about my story. It was actually about the journey I've been on to learn how to tell my story and what I had to overcome to stand in my story and therefore stand in my power. And that's the talk that I gave. And it's the whole title of the talk is the 5 stories we all have to tell. And I'm really proud of it. I was absolutely crapping my pants, not gonna lie, but
yeah, I can imagine.
It's really intense, like standing up and talking in front of not just talking in front of loads of people. I'm cool with that, but doing a TEDx,
the
pressure. Yeah, I'm proud of myself for doing it, and all the other speakers as well.
Proud of you too. I think it's amazing.
Thank
well done,
you.
you. And I think it's time for us to talk about 5 stories. I think we have to tell everyone what is the 5-story method.
Oh, well, thank you for asking. The 5 stories method. So the way I also talk about it as well, why does the 5 stories methodology exist? It exists to help us connect with our story and learn how to tell it in 5 stories. So we know who we are, why we're here, and ultimately why we belong here as well. So I love this concept of belonging, because belonging is when other people want you. And we all want to be here and we all want to be accepted. We want to be not just accepted for who we are. And that's what the 5 stories ultimately helps us to do on a personal level. But it also helps businesses as well understand who they are and what they stand for on a business level. So the 5 stories are the origin story. So that's the first story that we start with. And that's all about the journey we've been on and how we've got to where we are, why we began our business, why we began our podcast, why we started, and the values and the beliefs that guided that work that we do today. And then the second story is the empathy story. And the empathy story is all about our audience and how they're feeling, why they're feeling that way, and how our experiences, our personal experiences, connect with their experiences, the experiences we share together and the emotions that we share together with our audience. And then the third story is the purpose story. The purpose story is all about this is why we're here and this is why we matter. This is why our business is here. This is why our business matters. And then our fourth story is the product story. And the product story is all about what we do and how we do it differently, how we do it better. And then the final story is the vision story, which is all about the journey we're going on, all about the future we see, and all about the future we want to be a part of with the people that we're building our incredible business or our incredible community or our incredible podcast for.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to jump into some quick fire round questions.
Oh, I like this.
You're ready?
Yeah.
Tell us something people often get wrong about you.
That I'm smashing it.
What's one thing you wish you'd done sooner?
Oh, gosh. What's the one thing I wish I'd done sooner? In business or just in life?
You can choose.
Oh, gosh. I literally don't know. What's the one thing I wish I'd done sooner? Gone on an Eat, Pray, Find Amanda trip.
I highly vote for Eat, Pray, Find Yourself trip.
It's so good. I only did my first one in 2021, and I literally did it for 18 days. Oh my gosh.
Where did you go?
Went to Portugal.
Lovely.
I love Portugal. I love Lisbon. Yeah, I love Lisbon. It's just a vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the food wasn't that great. I think I just ended up like eating in really rubbish restaurants. And I don't know why. You know, like they've got that strip and they've got like all these people like, come in. And I'm like,
oh. the Thailand market. It's like,
oh no, I didn't go there. Oh no, did I go there?
Yeah, I did the Michelin-star restaurant with samples in the square.
I did go there, but I just walked around and went to the toilet and then left.
That was a massive
Yeah, that was a
error.
bad art. bad. Okay,
Listen.
what I wish I knew sooner. Like, do you know what I mean?
So 18 days in Lisbon eating bad food, and?
I did go to Cascais and I went to Elisera. I can never pronounce it.
Okay,
But yeah, but it was really cloudy. I got there and I was like, oh, beach. I'm going to be right near a beach. And then I was like, oh, no, that was just really cloudy because it's like in the hills and stuff, which likes to, that's where all the cloud lives.
And so was
apparently.
this just an 18 days of finding yourself?
18 days of, yeah, finding myself because I think it was like, you know, when the borders were starting to open, I was in a little bit of a, rocky place with my then fiance. Now husband, so you know it did work out.
It worked out.
It worked out. Yeah, the lucky guy.
Lucky.
But yeah, it was just one of those moments where I was just like, I need to go and figure out like who I am, why I'm here. Sometimes you just need those moments to go and get to know yourself.
I think everybody needs to do
We
it.
have to do it.
I
But
think if you don't take the time to go travel alone,
Oh.
you will never discover who you are.
I am all for it. But of course, not everyone has the privilege of being able to do that, right? But I was lucky enough at that point in my life to you know, I was just like, fuck it, I'm off. Bye.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think there's always a way. There's always a way. Compromise is a big thing
No.
with the funds, but like, you could definitely find a way.
Yeah, I agree.
Story for another day. Okay, tell me, what's the best part about your work?
Oh, do you know what the best part about my work is? Sharing after going through that journey of helping businesses and their founding teams connect with their story and understand it and then tell it and then sharing it with them at the end of that journey. That moment is a moment I want to bottle up. Like
Nice.
I've seen people cry, people
Wow.
cheer, people bang the table, like the goosebump moment and just the delivery of it. Like, I just love reading out the clear, creative, bouncy, rhythmic stories at the end of a project to my clients and just seeing and hearing and feeling their reaction. Like, oh, it's a moment, man. It's a moment.
Love it. That's a great answer. And so, if you had to give one piece of leadership advice that you've received in your career, whether that be really great or so awful you need to warn us, what would you share?
I've got two.
Go.
Fake it till you make it.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, do I need to say anything about that? Not really. Yeah, fake it till you make it. Like, that was one that I was told no, don't fake it. Just be who you are. And another one was you can't be emotional in business. I heard that one quite a lot, mainly from men. Yeah.
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 I feel like heart on sleeve, read me like a book. This is what it is.
I mean, I'm the most emotional person going. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you like do the whole. I don't really do the whole star sign thing that much. I like learning about it, and I think there is something in the planets or whatever. But I'm not a proper woo-woo person. But yeah, I'm Cancer, so and Cancerians are like feelers and
sensitive.
Yeah, I'm super sensitive, and I'm proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'll cry at the random stuff, but you know, whatever. Whatever.
I'm right there with you crying at the most random stuff.
Yeah.
So then, tell us, what's one hard lesson you've learned in your journey?
I think one hard lesson, there's been many hard lessons, but I think that you're going to have to keep learning. Like, that, I don't even think that's a hard lesson. That's just an ongoing lesson. Like, it's just, you don't know everything. Like, I don't know everything. I still don't know. And you're never going to know everything about your profession or your business or anything. It's just, yeah, I've still got a lot to learn and I'm still on the journey and I'm not alone, you know?
Absolutely. And I think it's that thing, as soon as you call yourself an expert, you're like, well, you must know everything then, or you must think you know everything. But that's not true. You've just developed your craft. You're brilliant at what you do. But anyone that thinks they know everything, well, then they've stopped learning. And that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, and I think,
always got to be learning.
Yeah, and I think I really respect the people that say, hey, do you know what? I am an expert in this, but I'm still learning, man.
Yeah.
And I always used to find that word expert, like, cringy, like.
Yeah.
Even when I was speaking to my coach about it, they're like, you're an expert. And I was like, oh, but I'm not. Like, I'm not. And they were like, but you are. I'm like, you know, yeah. So it made me feel a bit uncomfortable. I'm really bad at banging my own drum. I'm great at banging other people's drums and like saying, yeah, celebrating them and encouraging them and all that. When it comes to my own, yeah, I'm not the best.
Yeah.
I need to get better at that.
That's part of the work.
It is part of the work.
Definitely going to get there.
Yeah.
So if you're having a tough day, What's one music track that lights you up?
Oh, I love that. Well, at the moment, I love Destiny. You are my destiny by Lionel Richie. That's my jam. That is my jam at the moment. I don't know why. It's just I think I heard it on the film, and I was like, I haven't heard this song for ages. So actually, most mornings I play it, and my husband's just like, Amanda, for God's sake. Or Alien Superstar by Beyonce.
Brilliant.
I mean, that's like,
Epic
again,
choices.
amazing.
Tell us one thing you're really excited about right now.
Oh, one thing I'm excited about all the endless opportunities that I've got waiting for me, and I don't know what they are.
Oh, I love that answer. That's so good. That's so great. So I think that has been an amazing sort of finish to the show, and like what a great outtakes we've already had, just the highs, the lows, and the lessons along the way. It's been brilliant. An absolute pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.